John Brumby's $40 billion road and rail revolution. Canberra's pre-Christmas payday to boost the economy. Anarchy in Athens after police shoot a teenager. And marathon mum Karen McCann loses her battle with cancer. Good evening. Nearly $40 billion will be spent on big road and rail projects over the next decade under a transport blueprint unveiled by the Premier today. John Brumby says it's the biggest expansion of Melbourne's rail system since Federation. As Carl Herr reports, the government's picked up practically all of the recommendations of the Eddington report, with one notable exception.
8 months after receiving the Eddington report, the government today finally unveiled its vision for transport in Victoria.
It's by far the biggest infrastructure program in our state's history.
The plan includes a $4.5 billion rail tunnel from Footscray to the Domain, boosting rail capacity in the city and easing pressure on crowded St Kilda Road trams. $4 billion will be spent on a new dual-track line, so regional services no longer have to compete with metropolitan trains. There are also line extensions to Cranbourne East and South Morang and $5.4 billion for new trains, trams and buses. On the roads front, a new tunnel will be built beneath the Maribyrnong River to take pressure off the choked Westgate Bridge. It's not the link to the Eastern Freeway endorsed by the Eddington report.
He recommended an 18-kilometre tunnel to be built in a staged way, and that's exactly what we're doing.
The government says it will also connect the Metropolitan Ring Road with the Eastern Freeway and build the Frankston Bypass. Victoria is hoping the federal government will fund about a quarter of the total bill.
I believe that we are as well placed as you could possibly be in terms of funding for this program.
John Brumby calls the tunnel to the Domain the signature project in creating a modern metro rail network, but it won't be funded until 2013, and the time frame for completion will depend on Commonwealth support. The Transport Minister says the effect of current track upgrades will be felt much sooner.
Those infrastructure improvements that we'll see the direct benefit of next year.
If commuters and road users don't see a massive improvement in public transport or roads or our transport infrastructure, then they will judge John Brumby accordingly.
Voters next go to the polls at the end of 2010. Carl Herr, ABC News, Melbourne.
Road users have given the plan an enthusiastic thumbs up, but others aren't quite so sure. Green groups say it does nothing for the environment, and while the public transport lobby likes the rail plan, it isn't happy it won't start for several years yet.
The Premier thought they liked it.
Lynn and Tim and I have been down at Federation Square just briefing stakeholders. I think it's fair to say we've received a very positive response to this plan.
But outside, opinion was more divided.
I had to give it 5 out of 10. It's not going to make a difference to the bulk of Melburnians.
To my mind, it gets a 6.5.
The plan really ticks the box for almost all of our projects.
The RACV is happy, except for the delays it says will continue to plague motorists on Hoddle Street.
From Greensborough to the Eastern Freeway and Eastlink, the missing link is included. That's our number one priority. But the East-West Road Tunnel is equally important.
Some industry groups and experts are concerned about how long key projects like the Metro Rail Tunnel take.
The big items in public transport have been left for the medium term, and we have far too much road development projects in the package.
And that's not good news for its green credentials.
Building new roads and freeways will undermine those emissions reductions that will come from investment in public transport. So overall, it's unclear whether it will increase or reduce emissions, and that's really not acceptable in the 21st century.
Public transport advocates are also frustrated, saying money won't be spent on major rail initiatives until after the current term of government.
A lot of it's years into the distance, and it may never happen. So really, we're not seeing the sort of plan that will give most Melburnians access to high-quality public transport.
It's left many hoping for and expecting a revision after the next election. James Bennett, ABC News, Melbourne.
The first payments from the Rudd government's $10 billion